Here we are at this overcast. We got a little bit clouds today on Easter morning. Doug Fisher is in the house.
What's up, Tom?
I represented you as commentator extraordinaire.
Commentator. Did I do okay?
Your Avalon Hollywood gig. Representing, what do you represent?
Steve and I were okay. We have some chemistry, right?
Steve Kim.
You would think
Fisher,
we know each other.
Cynthia Conte was the hostess.
She was excellent.
Yeah.
She's nice. Yes.
You're color coordinated today.
I know.
You got the Aqua Triple G hat going. You got the Garcia boxing. Nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Got to represent Salinas and Kazakhstan.
Yeah, absolutely.
Big Bear Lake.
Samir is in the house.
Salute, Sam.
Happy Easter, Samir. How do you say that in Russian?
Well, it's more like Jesus has a reason.
Oh, that's a reason. Okay.
Yeah, but
Good.
it's for Orthodox Christians, it's a different kind of calendar.
Yeah.
For Easter.
Good. See, Samir giving us all the.
That's way too much education for a boxing stream, my man.
And Coach Dave, representing the Triple G shirt. What did you think of the Avalon show, Coach Dave?
It's really good.
Hollywood Fight
Flawless.
Nights.
It's flawless, and you're so calm. That's amazing how calm you are there. You got all this stuff going on, all these crazies, everything going on, and you're just calm.
What did you think about Ryan Martin headlining the show?
He was incredible.
It's the best I've seen him.
Yeah, he looked.
That's the
real
best
good.
form I've seen. I think it's healthy for him to fight above 135 pounds.
He's a big 135
Yes.
pounder. I think he's going to move to.
140 is where he belongs.
To 140, yeah.
Yeah, his legs seem sturdier and under him. His speed was incredible. But his technique and the snap on his punches and the fluidity of his combinations is the best I've ever seen it. And I really have to credit a full camp at the summit in Big Bear Lake.
Mr. Boxing Guru gave us a compliment, said it was a thing of beauty. Can't wait, and he can't wait till the next show.
Let me tell you something. Here's what I like about it. It was the mix of fights. You had your standard club show fights, which where both sides,
everyone on camera here,
where both boxers are club fighters. Okay.
There we go.
They're not hot prospects out of the amateurs.
Yep.
They're not contenders. They're not former contenders or whatever. They're just young guys who are trying boxing. And when you have an even matchup like that and it's 4 rounds, it's a thing of beauty. The opening fight of the night.
That was one of the best fights. It was the first fight of the night. Yeah.
I didn't agree with the decision, but you know what? I really enjoyed the fight, and I think both guys can fight, you know. But the thing is, we may never hear about those guys. Like 2 years from now, they might just have regular jobs, which is beautiful. I love that. You had a guy making his pro debut, a teenager. Was that Jose Chavez from Maywood? I know his last name was Chavez.
Yeah.
And he was in with the tough guy who had like an 0-1 record.
He had a tough pro
and
debut.
I thought the guy that he was fighting was taking over the fight, and then suddenly he turns the fight around and gets a stoppage. And then you had guys who are prospects like Brian Sabayo, who had like 220 amateur wins, like a 5-time New York City Golden Gloves champion. He made his pro debut. He's a prospect to watch. And then you had Sergey Bohachuk
against Lucius Johnson from Compton.
In a real fight.
Who was about 20 pounds heavier than he was.
Yeah, and that was probably the fight of the night. But that first round, how wild and crazy was that?
What did you think about that? Bohachuk got dropped and he pounced up and then he dropped Johnson, and then the referee was still counting Bohachuk.
I know.
After he
once he intervened to start counting for Bohachuk's like flash knockdown, he couldn't count the knockdown that Bohachuk scored. But Bohachuk had hurt
the first knockdown,
before he got dropped himself. So that was a crazy wild round. But Bohachuk is one to watch. He's a real prospect at welterweight or junior middleweight. And then of course Ryan Martin is like a contender.
Yeah. And Johnson's the one to watch too. Johnson.
Oh, Lucius, whenever you see Lucius,
he's always in a fun fight.
You give Lucius enough time to prepare for a fight, he's a real spoiler. He could beat a lot of prospects out there.
Yeah, that was like a double knockdown almost.
Samir, you want to take over the thing?
Absolutely.
Don't be shy about questions.
If it rings, just hit the off button.
Did Doug see Povetkin versus Price?
What's that?
Did Doug see Povetkin versus Price?
No, I just saw the knockout.
I watched that.
It was a great fight.
Yeah. I think he knocked him out twice. He was basically, Dave, that was one of those things where he landed, I think it was the right hand, and Price was like out on his feet. He dropped his hands and he was just like standing there, and then he threw a massive left
brutal.
hook. And
Yeah,
just
no, I saw the
destroyed him.
knockout.
So,
That's
Yeah, that was,
highlights. That's making the rounds.
that was a great show last night from Cardiff, Wales. Joseph Parker, 2 undefeated champions.
Yes.
And what did I just realized today after talking to Jonathan Banks, and I was texting with Vladimir, that all 3 of the current champions, or now outside of Parker, they were all sparring partners for Vladimir Klitschko. Vladimir Klitschko is, you see what type of quality sparring guys Emanuel Stewart wanted to bring in there, and he actually predicted it all. That's what Jonathan Banks said, that Emanuel predicted all those guys would be world champions.
Did
Parker,
Vladimir
Joseph
or
Parker.
Vitaly ever spar with Tyson Fury?
Emanuel had Tyson Fury in camp also.
Yeah,
They had him in Austria. I don't know if they he was in camp. I don't know if they ever sparred, but Joseph Parker was in Florida. Anthony Joshua, we have some great shots of Joshua together with Vladimir, and naturally Deontay Wilder came into camp also.
Yeah, I've seen pictures of that.
Yeah, so Emanuel always
and
wanted
I'm
the
sure
best guys.
I'm sure Vladimir was taking notes on all of them.
Absolutely.
He was ready.
Well, they pushed him, and that's how he had such a dominant run. Over 10 years, 25 title defenses. It was amazing. Amazing.
Question: is the fight gonna happen? And any chance
Which
of Spike?
fight?
We all can assume which fight, right? I mean,
Vladimir was teasing everyone, saying he's feeling good. He wants to come back.
All right. Really?
That's what he posted. Yeah.
Hey,
social media.
and Vitaly is in town. Is he?
That I don't know. I know.
I saw these Irish prospects. I was looking at their Instagram.
Yeah.
They took a picture with
of
Vitaly
him?
Klitschko.
Maybe. I mean, Vitaly still has the house here in LA.
Oh, okay.
So maybe he's here for spring break or something. That's possible. I haven't.
It was the McKenna brothers.
Okay.
There's Aaron McKenna, who's signed
He
by
was here
Golden
in LA?
Boy, and I think
Okay.
he's still a
I gotta
teenager.
see if LA.
And then he has a younger brother who I don't believe has turned pro yet. But it was a picture with both of them. Maybe it's an old picture or whatever, but I just saw it yesterday on Instagram. So, yeah. But Cecilia Brakos,
Cecilia
she's
Brakos
in
is in LA. Yeah.
All right, so she's training.
She's going to be training out here in LA. She's going to be training in Santa Monica. Yeah.
Okay, I got to go visit her. Yeah. Wow.
We'll have to set that up.
And Brakos will be, there'll be a feature on Cecilia Brakos in the next Ring magazine, the July 2018 edition of Ring magazine. So look for that.
It'll be a great feature. The only undisputed champion in boxing right now.
Yeah.
Male or female.
Where's she training?
She's going to train at the Wild Card West. Yeah. Your favorite place.
I like it.
So
I do
all the
like
media
it.
work
I
on.
wanna get an
So how
office
did
there.
you like, the Joshua fight yesterday? I thought the whole
was great.
presentation was incredible. The walk-in,
Yeah.
the crowd, you could feel it. It was like you were there.
The
on
pageantry.
TV, the whole
The
thing.
pageantry
And
of
then
it's
the
un-
interviews
unreal.
afterwards, both guys.
Yeah.
I mean, like,
All class.
Both
AJ's
guys
like a
very-
rock star.
very articulate, both
He's
guys,
like a
yeah.
rock star.
Yep.
He's so great. And the other guy, and Joseph Parker, took the high road.
Right.
I mean, I expected when he got on there, he's going to say, I thought I won, that's a bad decision. But the only thing that the referee, that was a joke.
That was a strange referee
strange
job.
choice.
Yeah, it was.
Inexperienced.
We've done a lot of fights in Europe, all the Klitschko fights and everything, and I've never seen him do referee. So I wasn't familiar with him, but he seemed always like kind of a step behind, and then he would say break, and then but he would be out of position.
But
it was a little bit odd. But
my feeling was he was auditioning for Eddie Hearn for future fights. Because he was just so one-sided, it was a joke.
possible.
Doug, have you seen Joshua Buatsi in UK?
What's his name?
Joshua Buatsi.
Oh yeah, from the he was out of the Olympic Games. He was a big standout out of the 2016 Games. Yeah, I've seen him. I think he's one to watch. I mean, he's obviously very strong, but he is turning pro at an advanced age, and some guys can make that work. I think Gennady Golovkin was 24, maybe 25 when he turned pro. I think Antonio
Actually,
Tarver,
26.
he
turned pro right.
Yeah. Antonio Tarver was 29 years old when he turned pro, and sometimes it works. And then other guys, when they turn pro, when they stay amateur for a long time and then they turn pro, some guys are burnt out from that amateur career.
Have you seen Jason Quigley?
Of course, I've seen Jason Quigley. Are you maybe they're talking about his fight last night?
Probably.
I've just seen highlights of the knockout. It was a body shot knockout. It was sweet. It was in the 6th round, so it was good that he got 5 rounds under his belt. He had been inactive since last March. He was on the first Golden Boy Boxing on ESPN card, and it was Glenn Tapia That's the guy.
Oh,
He was
right.
in the main
Yeah.
event, and Tapia took him 10 rounds, and he hurt his hand in that fight. So he had been off for a long time while it healed. He made a switch to trainers. I think he left Manny Robles and went to, I think it was Adam Booth, or I think it was an excellent trainer out of the UK. But he's one now that he's active again. He's somebody to watch. I expect him to break into the top 10 middleweight rankings real soon.
He's a classy guy too.
Very classy guy, real cool guy, good athlete, excellent amateur background. There's a lot there for whoever's training him to work with.
What's plan B for Triple G?
We just filmed. I'm wearing the Jordan gear today. In honor of, we just filmed a commercial yesterday at Freddy's Gym. At,
really?
At Wildcard Gym in
I was
Hollywood.
wondering,
Yeah.
it was a different gym than Big Bear.
Yeah, it was. We did. It was 2 hours with Abel, 2 hours with Triple G, and he did. You know, he just. They said, "You want to keep doing this? You want to keep doing this?" It's like, "Yeah, no problem. Whatever you guys want to do." And I have him do next exercises, jump roping. I mean, his full routine. And
But this is for a commercial.
It's going to be a cool commercial, and for all those Triple G fans out there that ask me all the time on social media, when is the Jordan come out with Triple G merchandise? New Triple G merchandise that's going to come out this month here in April, in anticipation of the Cinco de Mayo
Cinco de
fight
Mayo.
in Las Vegas.
Right.
That's right.
So what I would do with Triple G, I was thinking. So,
What are you thinking, Coach?
well, we know this fight's not going to happen on the 5th.
But last week you said it was guaranteed.
I know,
it was gonna happen.
no, but I'm calling an audible.
Don't you love
You
boxing?
know, okay. I'm calling an audible. It didn't go quite the way I thought it was, but it's not going to happen on the 5th. So,
Next week,
I mean,
we'll
my
tell you it
fe-
definitely happened.
No.
This week,
no.
definitely.
I
No,
have a
it's
feeling.
okay.
I have a
Absolutely.
feeling that
No, it's
things might
okay, you
change.
got
I don't
it.
know.
things change. That's boxing.
No,
No, that is the nature of boxing.
okay, but the thing is, I don't think Canelo and his people are that unhappy about it because I mean they want Triple G to get older.
That's what
don't
I
think
think.
it
yeah.
matters
True,
because
but Gennady told me yesterday he definitely wants to fight May fight. He's in full training and he definitely wants to fight.
this is what I would
May
do
fight.
with Triple G. Have
And
him
that's
fight-
smart, by the way. It's
have him-
bad for a veteran fighter to start a camp and then stop.
No,
and
this is
start.
what I would do.
That messed up Shane Mosley.
I would have the bum of the month club, like Joe Louis did. So I would have him fight May 5th, and then I have him fight every 6 weeks. Have him fight. You know, it's exciting. It's
Old
great, and have him
Be a
fight
lot of
about
publicity over
3
that.
or 4 fights. They're all good.
We'll see. We have to wait until.
it would have to
what
be
the-
exhibitions,
We have to wait until what the
right?
Almost.
Or non-title fights, right? Yeah.
well, that too, but we have to see what the Nevada Commission comes back with officially. I know the Canelo people are, they're going through the whole full investigation and talking to the commission. So we have to see what the commission rules, and then we have to, make the best situation for.
Let me ask you this: did the commission get rid of that special April 10 hearing, and now it'll just be like a full commission meeting on April 18?
Yeah, I'm a little bit unclear on that myself.
I know it's a lot of
It
unclear.
was supposed to be a meeting last Friday, and then
Right.
Yeah, so
Right in the car.
the dates still are April 10th and April 18th, I believe. But,
So there is still an April 10 here. There could be.
But I know they're talking on both sides. But
Yeah.
So, question to Tom: can you just clarify that the fight is definitely going to happen on May 5th, regardless? And who is the possible opponent?
Triple G definitely wants to fight May 5 in Las Vegas, and naturally, we're all hoping it's Canelo. It's the biggest fight in boxing.
Sure.
If it's not Canelo, then we got to figure out what to do. But that's
Also,
he
if
definitely
it's-
wants to fight. Anyone that's
Right.
purchased their plane tickets or hotel rooms in Las Vegas, don't cancel them if you want to see Triple G fight.
There you
also,
go. That's your answer.
the venue could change. If it's not
Yeah.
Canelo, it may not be
Everything
at
could
T-Mobile,
change, Doug.
right?
Everything
That's
could
changing
change.
for sure.
If it's
Yeah.
not Canelo, then everything.
Mandalay
It's going to be at the Mandalay Bay. It's going to be the 5th of May. It's going to be Triple
new
G.
prediction.
There's about 5 different guys he can fight that are all okay. When he fought this guy at the Forum that was undefeated,
Dominic Wade is IBF mandatory.
Wade. He
Undefeated-
fought Wade.
Undefeated, IBF
everyone knew
mandatory.
what was going to happen. Everybody, everyone had a great time.
True.
It was fantastic.
That's true.
And no one wanted to leave. Okay, the same thing happened at the StubHub.
That's right, against Rubio, yeah.
Right,
Chocolatito
everyone knew what was going to
wants
happen.
fight.
So you go into the fight. If he fights Sullivan, you know what's going to happen, but you don't care because it's all exciting. It's Triple G. It's great.
And Chocolatito has expressed interest through his manager Carlos Blandon and Mr. Honda that he wants to fight on that show. So
on May
we're
5th.
just working on seeing what we can.
And then supposedly, if this thing goes through, he'll get suspended until September, and then in September maybe they'll have the Triple G Canelo fight. That makes sense too. They have the same deal.
We gotta see what happens with the commission. It could be no suspension. It could be up to, I think, 2 years suspension. So we have to see what the commission rules.
So
but I don't think I don't think under the circumstances. I mean, that's the rules, but I don't think there's any. But anyway, I can't speak for the commission. We have to let the commission make their ruling and see what.
It's all good.
Wrestling
it's
fans.
all going to be good.
The wrestling fan. Oh yeah, Triple G went to the premiere of
Andre the
Giant,
Giant.
the HBO premiere. That's right. I almost forgot about that. We got so many things going
Question
on.
about that.
It was a great film. I got to give HBO a lot of credit for that. It was saw Peter Nelson there. We took pictures with Triple H, and Triple G.
Yeah. So the question is the fight still on between Triple H and Triple G?
Is it what?
The fight's still on.
The fight's still
Between
on.
them two?
We might have to do a wrestling match between those two. Yeah, but we have to actually. There's a little bit of a history, and Triple H alluded to that on Thursday, where they actually, WWE has huge shows, huge arena shows, and they had that March 18th date booked when we were trying to do the Daniel Jacobs fight at MSG at Madison Square Garden, and that was the only place that really made sense to do that fight. And so we had, between the Garden and us, we had to really kindly ask the WWE to move, which they never do. Wow. But because Triple H was a fan of Triple G, and they all like him, they actually agreed to do that. So shout out to WWE for letting Triple G fight on that March 18th date.
I was unaware of that.
Yeah. That was a lot of behind-the-scenes wrangling on that one, but luckily it worked out. And all they did was reschedule it, so they just postponed their show, and their show sold out, our show sold out, so it was just great for everybody all the way around.
Worked around.
Yeah, we couldn't move our date because we had that was the HBO pay-per-view date. So
yeah.
That's why we were stuck on that one particular date.
So how did you feel about the Avalon show?
I thought it was a great energy. It was a lot of work. I'll tell you, that small show was more work than what we did at Staples Center or the Forum or the Garden. Because there you have the full staff from the arena, and here we were like scrambling, doing everything. But it was great, and the fans really seemed to like it. The Ring TV broadcast with Doug on it, Doug and Steve, and we had a lot of celebrities out there. Yasiel Puig was out there. Victor Cruz, Puig was there from the Dodgers.
The NFL player, right?
Cruz from the Giants, the receiver from the
Great
Giants.
interview that Cynthia Conte did with him.
That's good.
Oh yeah, and a little dance at the end.
Shannon the Cannon.
Shannon
Briggs. Shannon is always a fan
Briggs,
favorite.
yeah.
People were surrounding him. Brandon Rios was there.
Yeah.
Maureen Shea was there. So
I
it
saw a
was,
lot of boxing
Murad
people
Gassiev.
too. A lot of
Murad
matchmakers.
Gassiev, the unified cruiserweight champion, was there. He was there to support Boachuk,
And Ryan.
and Abel, and Ryan, and
Triple J's brother.
Ali Akhmedov was there, and so was Triple G's brother.
Ali Akhmedov
Max.
is a 12-0 light heavyweight from Kazakhstan, who we should all keep our eyes on.
And then Ruslan Madiev was there, who's made a lot of.
Oh, he was? I didn't see him.
Yeah, Ruslan was there.
Was he sitting next to?
He was sitting in that row. That was like murderer's row there.
I haven't seen him.
I was right there. And Coach Larry Mullen was there.
Coach Larry was there,
Yeah,
and
Coach Larry.
and Canelo's twin brother was there, and Triple G's twin brother was there.
I got punked.
Does
Max.
Triple G have? Oh, do I have it? Max, it's true.
They're twins, so that was good. It was a fun night all the way around, and we're looking forward to announcing the next show here shortly.
The location is awesome.
Yeah.
It's like when you're there, everything is iconic about it.
You know
The
who
theater
might-
itself, across the street, there's the Capitol Records building.
Yeah.
There's like the Walk of Fame. There's the stars, on the sidewalk. There's a lot of parking in back. Not cheap, but Coach knows where to park.
$8 around the corner.
Yeah.
All right, so now I'm
$8
gonna
around the corner?
I should have
Oh,
taken
you gotta,
note.
you gotta let us know so we can publicize that next time.
I'm not telling
They actually
anyone.
cranked it
I know.
because they were expecting such a big turnout for the show. They actually normally it's $20 next door.
Yeah.
They cranked it up to $30.
$30, I know.
That wasn't fair. We had no control over that.
I
but
know.
we got to point out that $8 parking lot.
I'm not telling anyone.
The coolest part is that it happened exactly as Tom said. After the fight, the fighters came in and hung out with the fans and took pictures and all of that.
Hanging out with the fans. It turned into a nightclub. Guys,
Yeah.
shout out to Oscar Vega, the DJ. Kept everything going, and Yeah, we cleared out all the chairs.
Yeah.
And then it turned into a dance club.
That's cool.
Yeah.
And you forgot Chris Bird was there.
Chris Bird was there also.
Bird
yeah.
was there. Yeah. Man.
Was he good? Chris Bird. Wow. Remember, you couldn't touch him when he was in his prime.
Yeah.
But then when he lost his step,
And he was a long-time heavyweight contender and title holder, and he wasn't a heavyweight.
no.
I mean, he
Chris
was
fought way
and he fought
over
all
his,
the monsters. Here's who Chris
way
Bird
over
fought.
his,
He fought
weight.
Vitaly Klitschko,
Yeah.
Vladimir
He was the only
Klitschko,
one to really.
Ike Ibiabuchi,
Right.
David Tua,
Right.
Andrew Galata,
Yeah.
Jamil
That's
McCline.
another murderer's row.
Look at that! These guys are big, giant monsters.
Yeah.
And if they're not big, giant monsters
Yeah.
like Tua, they're monster punchers.
Yeah.
But all these guys comfortably can easily carry 250 pounds. And here you had Chris, who struggled to weigh 215, and he could have easily fought at 200 even. It's he won the silver medal in the 1992 Olympics at 165 pounds. So there you go.
Let me ask you this: what city is he from?
Flint, Michigan.
Right. Yeah.
I know my Chris Bird trivia.
Nearby James Tony's hometown.
Yeah,
of,
Ann Arbor.
Ann Arbor.
That's right. Yeah, a lot of excellent
And
boxers out of Michigan.
Floyd's hometown.
Yeah, Grand Rapids.
Grand Rapids.
Yeah. And what about James Tony?
Ann Arbor.
He's Ann Arbor as well.
Yeah. And where's Bronco McCart from?
Detroit? No? Is he Ann Arbor? I don't know.
I thought Bronco was Detroit also, but he might have been maybe one of the suburbs.
There's a
also.
lot
I'm
of
not sure.
suburbs
Yeah.
around Detroit, I know.
Yeah.
Who would have won, Vlad or Vitaly?
I always went with
You
Vitaly.
can't ask me that question.
Well, Vladimir was the better amateur and the more natural athlete of the two.
It was more the classic boxing style.
Yeah, but Vitaly had an awkward style because he had such an extensive kickboxing background. And I always favor Vitaly because A, he's the big brother. And big brothers always have a psychological advantage on little brother. Like, I'll whoop your ass no matter what.
Yeah.
And
Regardless
B,
of how old you are.
doesn't matter. I know, I'm an older brother, you know. And my brothers should, by rights, be able to kick my ass because they're a lot bigger and they're way better athletes. But I can't believe that they could beat me, right? But Vitaly had a world-class chin. I saw at Staples Center,
Against Lennox.
Lennox Lewis
right?
landed an uppercut that would have not only knocked somebody out, but would have removed their head.
Yeah.
And Vitaly took it. And I don't think Vladimir
Took it,
could have
kept
taken that
fighting.
same punch. I really don't. So there's one chink in the armor with Vladimir. He had the Achilles heel, which was his chin. That's the only. If Vladimir Klitschko had Vitaly's chin, he'd be an all-time great. Like.
He still
in
was
terms
an
of
all-time great.
Well, no, he still is. He still
Second
has.
longest
He
reigning
still has the
heavyweight champion
stats.
in
He's still going to be a
history.
first ballot Hall of Famer, no doubt. And you could argue.
Well,
if-
Vitaly's going to the Hall of Fame this
He
year.
is. No, they're both
July.
going to be in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
And but Vitaly's story is the most amazing thing ever.
4 years out,
Yeah.
comes back and beats the world champion, takes his title
Yeah.
back.
No
What-
tune-ups.
All
no
those
tune-ups.
guys who
Comes
were
right
out
back.
for a year and said, "Oh, I need
Oh,
tune-up
yeah, I need
fights,
tune-ups,
and,
yeah.
and I can't fight a world-class
That's
guy.
crazy.
I need some tune-up fights." I mean,
Vitaly
that's,
went right back in against
Vitaly was
the-
in a whole different league.
Yeah, and that was Samuel Peter for the WBC title. And then he retires from boxing and gets into politics, and now he's the mayor
Mayor
of
of
Kiev.
Kiev. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Mayor of Kiev.
Let
A
me
boxer, a prize fighter. It's unreal. It's the most amazing story of all time.
And Kiev is no small town. Kiev
No,
is
it's a
gigantic,
huge city.
Yeah.
That's
No,
a
it's-
dangerous
it's-
job.
Yeah,
Kiev is-
exactly.
See you know.
And he was involved like he was like a revolutionary,
Right.
you know.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, he was
And he got
deep
sprayed with a
involved.
fire hydrant.
Yeah,
He had
I
that
saw that
classic
video too.
story where he's got like powder all over him. Where
Yeah.
they sprayed him with a fire hydrant.
Yeah.
it was
So-
was rough times over there.
He started a revolution too.
And
No,
you
it's
But
almost
Kiev is a great city. I've been there
It's
a number
beautiful,
of times.
yeah.
It's a great city. Yeah.
you almost forgot Vitaly's birthday.
No, Vladimir's birthday, March 25.
No, the other one. Oh wait,
Yeah.
is that valid?
Vladimir, March
Oh,
25.
yeah, right.
Yeah,
Okay, that's
yeah.
the one.
Vitaly's July 19th. Yep.
Okay, we're
Yeah,
just
they're
checking.
They're 5 years apart. They look.
We're
They
just
look.
checking.
If you don't really know, they look like twins.
Yeah.
And they're 5 years
5
apart.
years.
Yeah.
Big brother.
And you
Back in
know,
the day, I
Emmanuel
thought they were
Stewart
twins.
did his best job with Vladimir. I mean,
Yeah,
that was
he really,
incredible. And I was the only guy that loved to watch Vladimir win those fights with that jab.
Yeah.
I loved it. I mean,
Such a great jab. That jab and then the hook off the jab.
He
That
could
was
hook off the jab like
such a-
few big men could.
Very fast hands for such a big
and
guy.
the way he
yeah.
controlled the whole fight with that
Right.
jab.
Yeah.
The whole thing was beautiful.
Yeah.
Those
Really
guys
good.
were amazing athletes.
Okay, I
Coach.
just-
You know, they used to come to a track. I don't know, like this track, but they would do 800-meter intervals, and they would do a lot of them, and they were all under 3 minutes. As a matter of fact, I think they were about 2 minutes, 2:30, 2:25 range. Guys that size, and they would do like several 800, like half-mile interval training, which is amazing for guys that size, that big. Amazing.
They had one of the best training camps I've ever seen up in the Austrian Alps, a 5-star resort hotel.
Beautiful.
The sparring partners couldn't wait to come up there.
I bet, yeah. The party.
It was a great wellness center up there, great food, and just the scenery up there in the Austrian Alps.
Let me just say this,
and it was altitude
I'm one of the few American
Shout
boxing
out to
writers.
Stangaward Hotel in Austria.
I'm one of the few members of the American media who's seen them train and spar when they would train at the La Brea Boxing Academy, which is no longer there. It was in the corner of La Brea and Wilshire.
Yeah.
They don't beat up their sparring partners.
They're very respectful.
They don't. So
Vladimir's a little bit harder at sparring
partners.
I know. We had
he can't help it
10 sparring partners for Vladimir.
Yeah, but Vladimir, he's so powerful and strong. That's the thing about Vladimir. Like his power. I've been told by people who work the mitts, like Freddie Roach, who worked the mitts with both Mike Tyson and with Vladimir. So Vladimir hits harder. His power is phenomenal.
Freddie was involved for 2 fights.
But they're not mean-spirited guys. I mean, I do think Vitaly had a surly side.
In the ring,
Well, I think out of the ring too. You don't want to piss him off.
No.
I know because I think I pissed him off once. It's because I snuck into a sparring session.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he didn't like that.
La Brea Boxing?
Yeah, La Brea Boxing. Yeah. but they were in the gym to learn, and that was their mentality when they were sparring. They were just learning.
They're practicing on.
Let me practice. Yeah. So they weren't trying to kill their sparring partner.
And who did they learn from?
They learned from everybody. But they learned from Amilcar Brusa, and they learned from Coach Don Familton.
Right.
And they would watch Coach Familton work with like a fringe guy, a fringe contender, a journeyman or whatever, certain techniques.
Like Ryan Davis.
Watch Ryan Davis. Watch him throw a shotgun jab.
Yeah.
Or work on certain power punches on the heavy bag, and then the next day I would see Vladimir doing the exact same things. Yeah. They could learn without having a coach actually show them hands-on. They could, but these guys had PhDs.
Fritz Stunek was their original coach when they turned pro, and was with Vitaly his entire career.
Yes.
And then, Coach, as you alluded to, then Vladimir made the transition to Emmanuel Stewart, and after the loss to Brewster and Corey Sanders, and then he really
rebuilt
put Vladimir on a historic heavyweight championship run, starting with that great fight in Atlantic City against Samuel Peter.
Yeah.
Remember, it was going back and forth, and
he needed to do that fight. Yeah, he needed, because it was 12 rounds, and he got dropped 3 times.
That was the eliminator. That was the eliminator fight to fight Chris Bird for that IBF title.
Yeah.
Thoughts on Price Povetkin?
Price Povetkin. Look, Povetkin is one of the best guys out there. I think he was very competitive with Vladimir in Moscow.
Yeah.
And I think Povetkin is right there with all the top guys. Definitely right there.
Okay, I have one birthday question here.
All right.
One birthday.
Well, I have two. First of all, we all want to wish Jeannie, Dougie's younger daughter, happy birthday tomorrow.
Tomorrow, okay.
Yeah.
Happy birthday, Jeannie.
Yeah, she was supposed to be born on April Fool's, but we were fooled. It was April 2. She'll be 10 years old.
Wow.
So,
and Josephine later in the month will be 14.
Wow.
Yeah, they're growing up. Yeah.
Someone's asking if Canelo Triple G fight will be incorporated in the UK's Heli Bellew pay-per-view.
Hey, Bellew. We've had some discussions with Eddie Hearn about that to do a combined broadcast with Sky pay-per-view. So that would be a unique situation.
David Hay versus Tony Bellew.
Tony Bellew, the rematch.
Over in the UK, that's a pay-per-view
that's on pay-per-view.
I
we
see.
could add that on. So that's one of the options in the UK, but definitely Eddie has proposed that. So we'll see.
Generally speaking, Tom, in the UK, you either go Sky or you go Box Nation.
Generally speaking, plus ITV also.
That's right.
Has a platform.
And then there's
also.
BT, but BT is
BT's
connected
combined with
to
Box Nation. Yeah.
Right, I see.
Yeah, gives them a broader platform.
And I forgot about ITV.
Yeah.
How did you like AJ's interview after the fight yesterday?
AJ's pure class.
Yeah.
He really is. When we did the fight with him in Wembley Stadium, that's what you were mentioning. It's great that Showtime picked up that fight because It shows the energy of those European soccer stadiums. You know, we did all the ones with the Klitschko's in Germany, and then when Vitaly fought Adamek in Poland, and it just and then Wembley Stadium. But it looks like AJ now can sell out those huge stadiums against anybody. So they had like 80,000 people there last night, and it was a tremendous atmosphere.
Is that an indoor stadium?
That's the biggest, from what I understand, the biggest covered stadium in Europe, 78,000 supposedly. So, yeah.
The whole show was great.
If we were going to do the rematch with Vladimir and Joshua, that was one of the stadiums that they were looking at.
So my favorite part
I want
of
to cover
it,
a fight there one day.
That's a great.
It was good. My favorite part was actually the pre-fight and the walk-in and those two guys in New Zealand with no shirts on.
Got to be shirtless. Come on, you have to be shirtless.
They were from Chippendales. They were good. Okay, so here's my birthday. Joey Maxim.
Joey Maxim. What would he have been? Jesus. You guys know who Maxim is?
Yeah.
Former light heavyweight champion. He's the guy that Archie Moore beat to become light heavyweight champion. He was tough as nails. And he's got a victory over Sugar Ray Robinson.
Only guy to stop Sugar Ray.
Can you believe that? Sugar Ray Robinson had 200 professional fights. He was only stopped once. And it was in the 14th round against a light heavyweight in the worst heat, like record heat.
He got stopped by the heat, not by Joey Maxim.
Well, they had two referees. One of the referees had to retire himself.
Yeah?
It was so hot.
Okay, so
the referee had dude, I'm out of here.
We've been through this before, but
and they had to replace the ref. It's never happened.
We've been through this before.
Never.
What's the ref's name that they replaced?
I forget. He was a fighter himself. Ruby Goldstein. Yep.
Ruby Goldstein. That's a classic boxing name.
And what fight what was Ruby Goldstein's last fight that he did?
Oh, that's got to be the rubber match between Emil Griffith and Vinnie Parrott.
Right.
And he was so despondent and depressed because Parrott died. It's like, shoot, I should have stopped it earlier.
And Ruby Goldstein.
But he was a great referee, and he was an excellent boxer.
Yeah, he was an excellent boxer.
Very popular.
So he was better than the guy last night? Is that what you're saying?
Jeez, way better. Man, well, here's the thing. There was once upon a time, a lot of your best referees, they at least had been amateur boxers. Yeah, and I still see that now, like Harvey Dock. You know Harvey Dock on the East Coast?
He's one of the top referees.
He was a boxer.
He
was a really good amateur, and he was a pro for a while.
He looks good.
And you see, he understands. He's got great. I like him.
He reminds me of
he's
John
smart.
Thomas.
Yeah.
They look alike.
Yes.
Too.
Yeah. Same body structure.
They move alike.
They move. You're exactly
Wayne
right.
Kelly from New York was one of the top referees, and he was a boxer. Dude.
Yeah, I think it helps. But in those days, I mean, they had like guys who were, real professionals who transitioned to ring, to the officials.
So how old was Joey Maxim?
Joey Max. Okay, so so Joey Maxim was
you can figure that out.
in the 40s and 50s.
Older than Archie Moore, right?
No, Archie Moore was older than him. But he was up there. But Archie Moore was 38 when he won that title. I don't think that Maxim was 38. I don't think. I think Maxim might have beat Floyd Patterson too, early in Floyd's career. You guys.
At light heavyweight?
Yeah. It was a controversial 8-rounder, but so he was definitely 40s and 50s. He's probably getting long in the tooth by the early 60s. Might have been out of it by then. So. I think he's passed away, but if he was still alive, I would say he's, I'm going to say 96 years old.
96. Power of deduction.
Question, should we bring back 15-round championship?
No.
Championship.
No. It's too long. Although I really think it's amazing. Some of my favorite fighters were 15-round fighters, guys like former bantamweight champ. Well, yeah, Marvin Hagler was a 15-round fighter. Carlos Palomino, 15-round fighter. He was suited for that. Yes, he was.
Carlos Palomino.
And so was Lupe Pintor. Oh, and Carlos Monzon was a 15-round fighter. Yeah. Their conditioning was amazing. Yeah, it was just.
So speaking of that, we'll get back to.
Do you want to guess?
The birthday?
On Maxim's.
Based on coach's reaction, I think you got it. I'll say 95. If you say 96, I'm going to say 95.
You're good. That's good. That's a veteran yours. Or no, Price is Right.
Yeah, the Price is Right.
Price is Right.
You want to guess, Samir?
95.
That's taken. Anyway.
96?
96?
Yeah,
no way!
Yeah, right on the money.
That is good.
That might have been your best one.
That is
best
hands
one.
down my best one. Oh
but
my God.
He was a big time fighter, but these guys fought everybody. Multiple times. Right. They fought everyone.
And you lose, no big deal. You know why?
You know why? Very often.
Because you're going to fight 2 weeks later.
Right,
yeah.
Exactly. That was my point. They were very active.
You know what? Even by the 70s, it was not, a loss was no big deal. You know, I go and I look at the record books and I notice, okay, I look at the year that Alexis Arguello won his first title, or the year that Ken Buchanan won his first title. The same year they won their first title, they lost. They lost like one or two, like the same year they had like their greatest triumph. Crazy. They lost the same year. Matter of fact, I think Arguello lost a title fight early in the year, and then late that year he won. You know, and it's like, and you know, when you look at the standout year for James Toney, 1991, he fought 6 times. But his first fight of the year, he almost lost to Merky Sosa. And it was like a USA Network or a ESPN fight.
ESPN.
But by the end of the year, he's fighting Mike McCallum.
No. But his next fight was for the title.
Was it right after that? Yeah.
Next fight that he won.
And he was losing that fight, but he knocked out Michael Nunn in the 11th round. And then his first defense, which was like a month later, he almost lost it. It was a split decision. He got dropped. That was Reggie Johnson. Right. Hey, folks, go to YouTube and watch James Toney versus Reggie Johnson. 2 boxers, but it's when back then you had 2 boxers, 2 boxing styles, and you get a great fight because of the volume and just the craft that you see. And the great thing about Toney at this time is all those fights, he was like a different fighter by the final round. He was learning during the course of the fight.
It's like when he knocked out Prince Charles Williams in 12th round.
Yeah,
that classic. That was on the cover of Ring magazine.
It was, yeah. Because Williams.
And how much was left in the round when he knocked it down?
Wasn't very much time left, I don't think.
25 seconds.
25 seconds.
Yeah.
Who is the best prospect heavyweight coming up?
Heavyweight. I hear good things about Daniel Dubois.
Joe Joyce.
Joe Joyce. I hear good things about him. Yeah. Yeah, they're British. Those are 2 British guys we just mentioned. Yeah.
Hey, so you were speaking about 15-round fight.
Yeah.
What was the last 15-round fight?
I'm going to say it was Jorge Paez against Calvin Grove, because I think the IBF were the last guys to hold on. I think the first to get rid of 15 rounds was WBC. Yeah.
WBC changed.
And that was after the Mancini Dooku Kim fight, and that was like 82.
So that's what everyone thinks.
Yeah.
But that was on USA Network on Tuesday Night Fights.
Yeah, Tuesday night.
From where?
Mexicali, Mexico.
Right. And how did, and who won the fight?
Calvin Grove was the defending IBF featherweight title holder. He was a sensational boxer, and he was ahead on all the scorecards. Paez was a tremendous athlete and natural fighter, and he had power at featherweight, and he clipped him in the 15th round. Yeah. And I think he knocked Calvin Groves down 3 or 4 times. 3 times. So he had a 10-6 round on all 3 scorecards, and he won the fight.
But here, I don't have my glasses to read this.
So this guy says he thought that it was the Jorge Paez Calvin Grove fight. So what was the real?
It was the last fight on national TV in the U.S. 15 rounds, but this was the last 15 rounds.
Which one was?
It was in Europe.
In Europe.
It gets to 22.
Well, what was the fight though?
I wasn't prepared today.
My breathing.
That's small print. While Doug is looking, I got the Roots of Fight. Chavez Senior.
Oh wow!
You see that?
Oh, I love that. I just love the color scheme.
This is in for Cinco de Mayo in Las Vegas.
Oh yeah.
Triple G fighting up there. So I gotta give a shout out to
there was a question too. Does having too many
Mexican style up in Cinco de Mayo?
But I bet it was like a minor
question? Does having too many promoters hurt boxing?
15 rounds.
Okay, I know.
Well, unlike
I
having
thought
one
so.
league, you have
And then I
different
looked it up.
promoters,
Yeah, I
different
got
interests,
those
different
and
TV
I
networks,
looked
and that's why a lot of times fights that the fans want to see don't happen or take a long time to happen.
Yeah,
So
it was. Yeah.
you know, it's something that you can't make but only one boxing promoter, or you know, you can't limit the boxing promoters. Doug, the question was, is having too many boxing promoters hurt boxing? And I was just explaining the difference between having one league like an NFL, NBA, where the best teams fight each other, and you know, with boxing, a lot of times the fights the fans want to see don't happen as soon as they want to see them, or you know, or ever happen.
Yeah, I mean, I could see that if there was one promotional company that had everybody under contract.
But
I think that's
you got
impossible.
promoters all over the world. You got look, Mr. Honda in Japan.
Yeah.
You got
I think it's better to have a
Argentina.
lot of really good promoters, and I think it's good to have different promoters at different levels, because the more promoters there are, it means the more shows. The more shows, it means the more active young professionals can be. You need to have, and that encourages more fighters, and more talent gets cultivated, and more fans go to shows and see them and become boxing fans.
Just
Dave,
like
Dave
at the
brought
Avalon,
folks.
you made new
brought
boxing
folks
fans, right?
to this club show on
Dave brought
Tuesday,
a
and they
group
went
of
to
10
the
people.
boxing.
He bought seats right there at the ringside, and a lot of new boxing fans, right?
Yeah. Anyone who went there would be hooked.
You even got Larry out to the Avalon.
And Larry loved it. It was good.
Question was, does judging needs to be changed in boxing?
Judging, judging is arbitrary. It's how you see it. I mean, the last Triple G fight was such a great example. One judge had Canelo winning 10 rounds, which probably she's the only one that had that score.
Yep.
And then you had one judge having Triple G winning by 1 round, and then you had one judge as a draw. So it's
Two rounds.
really 2
Yeah, it
rounds.
was 7 rounds to 5.
7 to 5. That's what I meant. Yeah. So. I don't know.
It's
the only
subjective,
thing
but
you can do is
there's
just try to keep going with the best judges.
People want to change it. I know a lot of fans say, we have to change the 10-point must
That's why there's
system.
3 judges. Typically, if one has a bad night, then normally the 2 judges would overrule them.
And they sit at opposite sides of the ring, so they don't sit here and chat about, I don't know who won that round, who'd you have it for, and they just copy like that. And that happens on press row too. A lot of times you say, well, the press all thought this, but then with the press, they're writing,
not
taking
really
notes while they're
scoring
looking,
every
right,
fight, yeah.
and they can also they get the benefit of seeing replays, but then they're also sitting chatting amongst themselves, and sometimes folks debate and change their
And then you have the
scores.
TV commentators who I thought had the right score. Harold Letterman had an 8-4 for Triple G. So,
I do
that's
really
just one
agree with
example.
Letterman.
There's been a lot of different examples.
I don't always though,
Just
because
one recent example.
it's a subjective nature of
Right.
boxing. But what needs to be changed is this: we need to have the best officials for the biggest fights. We really do. We need to have good judges. And the bottom line is Adelaide Byrd doesn't understand boxing. That's the problem with her. That really is. And I know folks are like, well, she was just scoring for the star fighter, and yeah, that might be the case. But if you look at her track record, she has a lot of questionable to poor scorecards where she's scoring for the guy who's laying up against the ropes, or she's scoring for the guy who's avoiding the fight. So obviously, her understanding of boxing is not right. I mean, the
Some
guy who
judges
should win the
score for
round
people
should be who's
pressing
winning.
action, the
Right.
offensive fighters, and some like for
And I've seen
defensive
it the opposite way where judges score for the guy coming forward, but he's not actually landing punches, and that's just as
It
bad.
has to be effective aggression.
Exactly.
Who's the judge in California that was so good for so long, and now he's so bad at every fight?
Max DeLuca.
Max DeLuca. Wow. I don't know
Max
what
used to
happened
be
to
like
that
the
guy.
best, and now it's like
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm going to get when his scorecard.
And the
is
same
red.
thing with the ref.
Yeah.
Ken, the guy who refed the first Triple G fight.
Oh, Kenny Bayless.
Kenny Bayless.
He
He
used, you're
used
right.
to be
he used to be the
really
best.
good, and now he's a homer.
Yeah.
I did fine for the Triple G fight, Triple G Canelo. I think he did fine for that one. We had no complaints about the refereeing at all.
I don't know. Look, you gotta watch. Have you watched the fight over?
I've watched it many times. Watched it many times, and every time I watch it, I think Triple G
wins an extra round.
keeps winning.
Yeah, right.
Keeps winning.
You could have that 9-3 Triple G.
That's how Kevin Kelly got it.
No, you really. Well, we got to discount Kevin Kelly.
He's had some bad ones himself, didn't he?
No, but you could really have it. It was easily 8-4 and maybe 9-3. See, there's no way. So the guy who really blew that fight was Don Trella.
Yes.
Really badly, because the 7th round, which was easily Triple G's, even Bird gave it to Triple G.
I know.
And Don Trella, that would have changed everything.
And you know what? Because of that card, I don't trust Trella.
Yeah.
One point can change the whole course of your negotiations for a rematch.
Yeah.
You know, now you got a draw on the record, the whole thing. But
Well, you know, he's had some bad judging experiences since then.
Oh yeah.
I know JP's.
He doesn't trust Trella. I know
Hey,
that.
JP, we miss you, JP.
Miss you, JP. Everyone tunes in to see JP's
I
picks.
know. Hey, at the fights
viewers
the
are
other
gonna be
night,
down.
there was a line of people getting JP's autograph. He was late.
I'm wondering what JP's pick is with the junior middleweight title unification bout that takes place next Saturday. I think it's in Vegas, and that's
Hurd?
it's
Hurd
Jared
and
Hurd and Arislandi Lara. And when the fight was first made, I was leaning towards the Cuban. I was leaning towards Lara because of that lateral movement, that amateur background, that jab. And Hurd, who's a beast, he looks like a super middleweight who just somehow makes 154 pounds. He's got great pressure, but he doesn't have the best ring cutting technique, and he doesn't have the most defensive prowess either. He's there to be hit, but he's so big and strong he can take it, and he just wears guys down. He's a lot of fun to watch. I'm kind of rooting for Hurd, but I'm still kind of feeling Arislandi Lara. And I'd be interested to hear a bettor's brain on this match.
What other fights are coming up next week?
It's not a huge.
That's on Showtime, right? Or
yeah, that's on Showtime, and that's the main event. And I think there's a decent fight in the co-feature. Gosh, is it the Jamal Charlo, Hugo Centeno? It's a triple header. And Julian Williams is on.
Coming up,
now maybe that's later in the month. Maybe that's
that was
later
on
in
the
the month.
14th.
I think you're right.
Charlo Centeno's on the 14th.
Yeah. So that's a different card.
So let me ask you, on the 5th of May, when Triple G fights another to be announced, is that going to be on
Bob
pay-per-view?
Anderson.
There's so many things. It just really depends on what the commission says. There's so many things in flux right now. We just got to create the best situation for Triple G. He says he wants to fight regardless of what happens with Canelo.
Well, first of all, we know what the commission's going to say. We positively know. So, okay.
This week.
Okay.
This week.
Okay.
Next week.
Dave's opinions
And then the week
are
after
solely
that,
Okay. But on TBA, could it be on pay-per-view?
We have to. Actually, Peter Nelson was in town because of the Andre the Giant premiere, so I saw him last night. Just going over all the different options to see what happens.
I think it should not be on pay-per-view, even if it's against Charlo, because I think you want the most people watching Triple G you can.
That's what happened with Ring TV, right? Ring TV streaming. We had a tremendous amount of viewers on the Hollywood Fight Night show.
Really good.
Open streaming, and it was streamed internationally. We had a lot of UK viewers.
Yeah.
Over.
Well,
I think it was like
not
100.
geo-blocked anyway.
It wasn't geo-blocked.
That's the best. Good going.
It was a good platform. Yeah.
Good going.
So are you thinking of having regular TV there also?
It's everything is just.
I think that'll happen.
Internet is the regular TV.
Anyway, Tom, you did such an incredible job. The
Appreciate
whole
that.
thing, and I know that it was way more work than you knew.
I'm going to tease potentially the next main event on Hollywood Fight
exclusive
Night
is coming.
from Abel Sanchez's camp in Big Bear, California. Dennis Shafikov. Non-stop action.
Okay. Yeah.
Shafikov is great.
Yeah, he's a very entertaining fighter,
Yeah.
like a buzzsaw.
Yeah, former lightweight title challenger.
Yep.
And have you considered having guys make their pro debuts?
Sure, absolutely. And female boxing. For you, Dave, we're going to put on a female bout. Didn't make it this time, but we're working on a female bout.
I think it's good.
Yeah.
Anyway, did you see how Joshua said love everyone?
Yeah.
Love everything?
And what about the driving?
Stole that from you.
The driving?
Let people in.
Right.
I let 2 people in last night. On the way to the Jordan commercial, they were waving, they were smiling, they were all happy.
Yeah,
so.
you made their day.
That's and drive like you just won the lottery, right?
It's contagious.
Drive like you're Anthony Joshua.
And no texting and driving, right?
No texting or tweeting.
Josie?
Or tweeting.
Wait, so how long has it been since you've texted?
I haven't.
Oh,
I haven't.
He's
no,
still,
that's not the
he's
I
still
don't.
denying.
No. I don't even have my phone when I drive.
Oh,
I have it up. I don't have it.
you know, that's not the
It's
truth.
not in my hand. No.
I don't believe you.
If my car's moving, my phone is not in my hand. That's my rule.
You mean so?
I have both hands,
stoplights.
both hands on the
So
steering
your
wheel. all
daughter's
times.
lying?
You know, she
stretched the truth
she
a little
stretches
bit.
the truth.
She
Yeah.
embellish?
Yeah.
All right. Well, we got to sign off.
No,
We're,
but I had done like social media while waiting for her in the car. Sometimes
probably what she was
the
doing.
engine's running, yeah, and sometimes at like a long stoplight. But I don't do that anymore. That's maybe what she was talking about. But I don't do it.
Coach Dave's words.
But my
of
rule
wisdom,
was
right?
only if the car is at a complete stop. But since she called me out, even if the car's running, then no hands on. That's my rule, and I don't miss it either.
Wishing everyone a happy Easter Sunday.
Happy Easter.
Yeah.
Have a great week. Be happy. And we'll see you next
Hopefully
week.
we'll have some fight announcements this week about Cinco de Mayo in Las Vegas.